Hi, this is Coach Joe from the Summit Endurance Academy and the U.S. Ski Mountaineering Association. Wanted to talk a little bit about technique. I've put together a little technique video that follows this, and I would love your comments. Basically, what I'm trying to do here is generate a discussion around technique and kind of create this hasn't really been done in English that I know of, and kind of create some terms for the different techniques that are used in uphill skiing. And the reason for that is to kind of create a pattern of learning and teaching this stuff that we can use, for young people all the way through old people, and make sure that we're all speaking the same language. So please check it out. Leave comments below. I don't expect all of them to be positive or in agreement. I welcome disagreement and constructive feedback. First, I'd like to start out with what I call the diagonal, which is kind of the basic Skimo stroke. I will talk about a little bit later about how this is different from kind of like a Nordic style. But for now, we're going to talk about this. So we're poling on either side and the pole hits with or just behind the opposite foot strike. The hips stay high and forward. There isn't very much or any bobbing. There's very little vertical movement. There's no super aggressive push off. Poles are used as propulsion, not as stability. There is a very subtle weight transfer from side to side, which you can see in the shot from behind me. And most of all, how I would characterize this is smooth. The next technique I'd like to talk about is the syncopated technique. So this is used, all over the damn place. Euros will use this basic form with a lot of different variations, but this is just kind of the basic version. Essentially, what happens is it's a 4-count stroke. So you have 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you have a pole plant on step 1, a pole plant on step 2, and then you kind of walk through in a sort of a double pole fashion. So stroke, stroke, step, step, pole stroke, step, step. Now what you see here is that the legs are very similar to the diagonal. Essentially, we have hips high and forward. The hips never drop back or go up and down. The stride is, relatively speaking, short. Cadence is high. The foot hits the ground under the hips. And the poles are really used in this kind of like double pole-ish fashion, but it's not quite a true double pole. Okay, now we get to what I consider to be called kind of the Bootpack, which is essentially it's a true double pole, with the same leg movements as the diagonal or the syncopation. Next is the Nordic, which kind of a lot of us learned right off the bat. So we have a much bigger vertical oscillation. We have much bigger stride, and really just a violent push. Now this is best used in less steep terrain when you're really trying to get some glide. You're really trying to, in the Nordic world, we'd say put the weight down to set the wax, but in this case, it's just to generate glide. Next, we're going to talk about what not to do. This is the march. This is something that we see a lot, especially from people who start off with really heavy equipment and then turn into Skimo racers. So you see these really long strides where the foot is extended out in front, and a whole lot of vertical oscillation. And the poles are kind of used for stability and not necessarily for pushing back, because they're planted really far kind of up and ahead. And so this just ends up being, just really inefficient, and you can't go any faster. You kind of have a top speed with this because you're limited by, you can't really you can't up the cadence, essentially. One of the ways that I think about the march is that it's kind of like having a really big gear on your bike. So you're using these really big muscular movements in order to move yourself up. And because of that, you're limited in how fast your cadence can go. And so you end up not being able to essentially spin a higher gear and get a really efficient higher speed. Lastly, we have what I call the double pull march, which you see fairly rarely, but is also something that we kind of want to stay away from. And that's just a straight up double pull and then a march. Very big vertical oscillations, hard push offs, pulls moving together, that kind of stuff.